All right, so today we are doing a deep dive into the history of U.S. hip-hop.
Yeah, and we're tracing it from, its roots in the Bronx all the way to this global thing it is today.
And what we found is that its path was shaped by this constant push and pull against, well, against constraints. We've kind of boiled it down to four main forces.
Region, club and media, gear, and law. Those four things, they really tell the whole story.
So let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
The Bronx, late 70s.
It all started from necessity, really. You have young people with not a lot of resources, no formal venues to go to.
Right.
So they just transformed block parties, community centers into these cultural incubators. You had it all: dance, graffiti, fashion, social commentary.
And the gear they were using back then, the Technics SL 1200 turntables,
Yeah.
the Roland TR 808, was that just what was around or something more?
Oh, it was the perfect starting point. The 1200s, they let you isolate and just repeat those break beats from funk and soul records.
To keep the B-boys and B-girls on the floor.
That's it. And the 808 gave you that deep, iconic sub-bass. Then you get tracks like Rapper's Delight in 79 and The Message a few years later.
And that's when the world really sat up and took notice.
Yeah.
So then in the 80s, we get this huge regional shift. You have the East Coast Golden Age taking shape.
Right, with groups like Public Enemy bringing in this heavy political and social message. And the proving grounds were the clubs in New York City. Places like the Tunnel, the Limelight, that was the laboratory,
But at the same time, something completely different is brewing out west.
Totally different. You get the rise of gangsta rap and G-funk coming out of Compton in L.A.
And this is a really crucial distinction, right? Artists like Dr. Dre, especially on the Chronic, he wasn't just looping all breakbeats.
No, not at all. He was using synthesizers, writing his own original bass lines. It was a whole new sonic texture.
That G-funk sound. And in a way, that almost anticipated the legal problems that were coming down the line with sampling.
100%. It was a prophetic move, whether he knew it or not.
And you can't really talk about that expansion without the role of media.
Not at all. Regional radio stations were the original judges. KDA in LA, WBLS in New York, they were the ones breaking these records, which, were often just on demo tapes.
So it was this decentralized supply chain from the very beginning.
And that same model is what allowed the South to just explode in the 2000s.
The center of gravity really moved. Atlanta, Houston, New Orleans.
And you get these unique new sounds like crunk and the precursors to trap from artists like Outkast. And it was all supported by that intense local tape circulation DJs like DJ Screw, the Gangsta Grills series.
It proved the scene wasn't just bi-coastal anymore.
Not even close.
Okay, so let's get into the tech and the legal side, because this is where everything, it really changes again. The 90s were kind of the peak of sampling.
Absolutely. It was fueled by dedicated hardware. The Akai MPC-60, the SP-1200, these machines let producers chop up samples in ways you just couldn't on a turntable. That created that intricate, layered sound of the era.
And then the lawyers arrived. Our sources call this desampling. What did that actually mean for the producers on the ground?
It meant the old way of doing things was over. Done. The Grand Upright Music v. Bismarcky case in '91 was the first big blow.
Made it clear you had to pay to play.
You had to pay, and it was prohibitively expensive. But the real nail in the coffin was the Bridgeport music case in 2005. That one said even a tiny 1-second unauthorized sample required full clearance.
Wow. So that just destroyed the economics of it overnight.
Completely.
So you have this massive legal constraint, and that pushes producers toward, originality.
It had to. And luckily, the technology was there to meet the moment. DW's digital audio workstations like Pro Tools and Ableton Live.
And soft synths, right. Basically instruments inside your computer.
Exactly. So you no longer needed a stack of vinyl and an expensive sampler. You could create these complex, original beats on a laptop. The entire sound of hip-hop just fundamentally changes.
And now, fast forward to the 2020s. You've got streaming, SoundCloud, Spotify. It feels completely decentralized.
It is. It's a truly multipolar scene. East, West, South, Midwest, they're all relevant power centers. The whole history is a story of relentless adaptation.
It seems like the innovation always follows the constraint.
That's the through line, for sure.
Which leaves us with a final thought, something for you to mull over. The move toward AI-generated beats and these massive sample packs is already happening. So considering this entire history of technology and legality we just discussed, is the next great hip-hop innovation going to be purely algorithmic? Or will the physical human elements, the club, the battle rap, always find a way to pull the culture back to the street?